makes me nervous to even share it with you. Joining us from somewhere around the world, it's Mike from around the world.
Pastor Paul, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you doing tonight?
Good. It's been a long day.
It's been a long day. Well, can I ask you, has it have anything to do with why in the world was Russia blowing up the largest factory in Ukraine? Does that got anything to do with it, Mike?
Yeah, they're not going to give up.
They're not, are they?
They're not going to give up. No, they're not. Actually, they've become quite aggressive in what they're doing, and the U.S. has no choice but to, defend itself. So we're starting to get to that point.
Okay, when you say the United States has to defend itself, it's because we're not going to have a peace deal, are we, between Russia and Ukraine?
It does not look like it. Not right now, at least. It really doesn't. Putin is not going to give up the idea of, going into that territory and to have it. He's on in that line of thinking. There are conflicting, he says very conflicting things. He had the meeting, yes, and everything, but I believe when he went back home, it was like he used this meeting to get the pulse of the USA, to see how far the USA would go, to see how things would go, what would happen. But, these guys are, he wants his country. He just simply wants his country.
When you say he wants his country, in other words, he wants Ukraine because he wants to go back to the former Soviet Union. No longer,
he's never, he probably will never settle for the idea that the Ukraine belongs to anybody else but Russia, right? And when, that accident happened when that nuclear power plant failed, that was it. Russia split up, and he was upset about that whole incident. So he is somewhat of a loyalist to historical ideals concerning Russia, and he plans to restore it. He wants to restore it. That's in his mind. And keep in mind, this guy, he told the USA before he went into Crimea that he was not going into Crimea, right? He told the USA prior to going into the Ukraine, he was not going into the Ukraine.
I remember that, yep.
So this is a guy who will look you in your face and say one thing and order his troops to do another.
Do you think, at this point, do you think President Trump has figured that out now and understands that even though...
He already knows.
Yeah.
He already knows he had to try, right?
Right.
Because you never know unless you try. And of course, there's so many voices out there interpreting who people are. He had to know for himself who Putin was. He had to know for himself. And there's no better way than to set up some sort of meeting. Also, it was a gesture of peace in the first place, right? He's now the president of the USA. And as being in that position, he has to make some sort of gesture towards his intention. And he did that.
Okay, now let me ask you. Now that President Trump has made the gesture, met with Putin, suggested heavily that Putin and Zelensky should meet tomorrow. That's not going to happen. Trump's not going to like being lied to his face or made a fool to his face. Where do you see this going from here, Mike?
Well, it after tomorrow, after the numbers come out, because tomorrow's a big day for America. Right?
What do you mean? What do you mean the numbers? What do you mean?
Financial numbers come out tomorrow, and so the markets will respond based upon what's said. But after that, he already has some plans in the making for that. Different things are on the table. It can become difficult for Putin, but see, there's almost like a unrecognizable force sustaining Russia right now. the consensus is Russia is broke, correct?
You're right.
That's the
That's
consensus.
what we hear. Right.
They have financial trouble. So why did they just double the manufacturing of their military weapons and military vehicles?
Right.
Why did they recruit? They didn't just grab people off the streets, but they're building up a force that's quite strong, full of mainstream Russian troops. Putin has two armies. One he has recruited from the world, and that's what people have been saying. That's what the Ukraine has been fighting. And then, of course, he has his own troops. There's a lot of propaganda out there. It's very difficult to trust what's on the internet, because one side will say Ukraine is winning and Putin is finished today. And, of course, the other side will say the opposite. So it's very difficult to gauge. But time is telling what the true story is. Ukraine is hurting. Here's a fact about the Ukraine. If the U.S. does not continue to give money to the Ukraine, to give weapons, ammunition, all those things, they're done for. They're going to be done for. The Ukraine is surviving because of NATO and because of the USA. That's why they're surviving. Essentially, it's our war. And Putin is not happy about that. Remember, he said if any U.S. weapons are used in this war, right, that the world would pay for it, big time.
Yeah, he did.
Well, we crossed that red line a long time ago, and he reminds everybody about once every week that we have crossed that line, and he will deal with it. So he has activated all of his just about all of his nuclear forces. He's made some pretty prominent moves in that province of the UK. He's still talking about, but it's not bravado. Putin is quite serious about his nuclear option. In fact, he's so serious that the nuclear procedure has been changed in Russia. It's been altered. So at any moment, he has the authority, right, based upon attacks on his military and any U.S. or NATO movements to utilize nuclear force. Now, when he did that, he just did that about 2 months ago. The whole thing has changed.
How do you feel about it, Mike? I mean, let me ask you a question personally. You've been in the intelligence agencies, intelligence apparatus your whole life. Do you believe that Putin, I know Putin is doing this, and he'll up the game and change procedures to keep everybody off balance, thinking he's really willing to pull the trigger. Do you believe that he's willing to pull the trigger? Is he gone that far, or what do you think?
He loves his nation, right?
Yes.
He loves his nation. And you have to think of Putin like similar to President Trump, but in this way. He loves his nation. His nation is a communist nation, yes. They have different ideologies than we have, yes. But he loves his nation, and he loves those people. Now, they are Russian, so they have different procedures. They have different ways of doing things. He will do anything to keep his nation alive. And when you have a person in power who is being pressed on every single side, it makes him very dangerous. Very dangerous. He does not have the luxury of taking a chance. He already took a chance, and it cost him an entire country. That's in his mind. That's in his heart. And he will do anything for his people. So when it comes to nuclear war or something along those lines, weather has to line up perfectly for that. Conditions have to be right. But he'll do it in a heartbeat.
Okay.
That's going to depend on the aggressiveness of NATO. As far as what the U.S. will do in Ukraine, because I can almost guarantee you that if we start building up anything in Ukraine, which is that gives me a moment of pause. If we begin to do that in Ukraine, he will respond with greater and greater force.
So,
and nobody has seen his mainline forces yet. I know a lot of people say they have, but they have not.
So you're saying he's fighting with two different armies. The army that he's recruited from all over the world.
Or conscripted, yes.
Yeah, or bought with his own money with the government. And then the army that he has, this Russian army that he's using as well. Let me ask you, what does President Trump feel about the situation? Where does Trump go from at this moment from here?
Well, he has a good handle on many prospects of Putin, but again, Trump is going to have he's going to have the people of America. That's going to be his best interest. Now, he is building up defenses of the USA. He prioritized that with the Golden Dome, right? That's part of that defense mechanism, which is being built up. Now, upon completion of some of the intercepts of the Golden Dome, he was going to deploy forces. That's what he's done. We have a war front on all sides. The USA does. The people are just not aware of it yet, but they will be. We have growing tensions beyond belief, and everybody is doing everything to paint a picture of normalcy. We're not normal times. We're in very dangerous times, right?
I agree. I agree, Mike. All right, Mike, while that's going on with Russia and Ukraine, we also see that Benjamin Netanyahu has stepped up the Gaza City offensive. What's your thoughts on where that is now? Because apparently Hamas is not going to surrender. They're not going to give us their hostages. They're not going to surrender and have a free passage to a different country. It doesn't look like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan are going to take all these refugees of Palestinians. So where do we go from here? What's going to happen next?
Israel, right? Israel is any act of aggression from Israel, like Gaza, even though it seems right based on what they did October 7th. It seems right. The world's not going to see it that way. And they're about to face some pretty heavy pressures from the rest of the world. Israel has power to do things in the Middle East. And believe me, there are going to be propagandists and opposition voices within Israel, right? They're already starting to join hands against Benjamin Netanyahu in his own country.
Right.
And we all know what that means. That is the Middle East, and he's already in danger every single day. That danger is going to increase, and now they're pursuing a legal front to get him out of there quickly. And they're going to do that under the guise of peace. Through peace, much destruction will take place, and because that is the Middle East, Iran, if anybody thinks that Iran has folded up and left the battlefield, they're wrong. Iran is now in every territory in the Middle East. And believe me, they're coordinating. They're coordinating in the Middle East. They're coordinating over here in the USA. Higher security measures must be taken in the USA to prevent what could potentially happen. I don't even think that people are aware of how dangerous the situation is within the USA. There are too many people here from the Middle East who hate the USA and are in fact loyalists in the Middle East. So that's going to be the beginning. It's just more evidence to disarm Israel by force.
Yeah, I know you're right, and there's no looking back. I mean, Israel's not going to stop. They're going to finish off Hamas. They're going to, I don't know if the hostages will be released alive or dead. I have a bad feeling that all of the hostages will end up dead that are left. I hope not. I pray to God not. If that happens, Mike, what will be the response of Israel if the rest of the hostages are dead?
Well, I hate to say this. They may want to do one thing, but they're going to be stopped by the UN from doing what they would like to do. Have you noticed that they could have already put an end to all of this, but the UN would not let them?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It could have been over, but they said no. They every time Israel has the upper hand, right? Then there's some sort of machine that cranks up, tells Israel no, stalls the process of a true victory, and then it just perpetuates these terrorist groups. That's all it does. They have the appearance, right? Hamas have the appearance of coming to the table.
Yes.
But they're not going to make peace. And again, my final anchor on that has to be the book of Daniel.
Okay.
It's fairly consistent, the book of Daniel, that you have these two. One is the prince of the holy covenant. One is not. And the one that is not has indignation against the holy covenant, or hatred against the holy covenant. And that person will go out and get all of those in the Middle East who also have hatred against the holy covenant. They'll all come together and take Jerusalem. That's in the book of Daniel, for the abomination, to set up the abomination of desolation.
You are correct.
When it comes to like big moves of peace in the Middle East, I do not believe that's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It always appears as though it does, and every single time Israel, somehow they end up paying the price every single time. But I believe this time the USA is in danger also. I believe the USA is in danger this time likewise, because biblically, no one can go into Israel and keep it for 3.5 years when the USA is up and standing. So my question again is, what happened to us that we could not intervene into a 3.5-year siege in Israel? That's my question. So something is afoot.
You're always bringing up that 42 months in the Bible that says they're going to be underfoot, and it's significant because it's one scripture says time and half a times. I think it's in Daniel. Another time it says 1,260 days, which on the Hebrew calendar is exactly 3.5 years. 42 months is exactly 3.5 years. So this 3.5 year period, and even the two witnesses that will be preaching for 2.5 years get killed at that point.
Yeah, they sure do. They sure do.
So we know that there's going to be this 3.5 year period. Let me ask you, now that you can see what's happening in the Middle East, you can see what's happening in Ukraine, there's other hot spots. We have to look at China and Taiwan. Matter of fact, what did you think about that fireball that exploded over Japan yesterday, or was it this morning, actually? It was huge. I mean, it lit up the sky for hundreds of miles. What's your thoughts on that, Mike?
As part of the meteor shower, you remember we're going through a thicker part of these meteor showers. And just to make that story plain, a fact was found out 2023-24, and that these standard meteor showers that we have, a while back we went through a thick part of these meteor showers. So lots of material has been gathered from these meteor showers, right?
Yep.
Well, they found out way back in the past, the entire surface of the earth was almost set on fire by these same meteor showers. And then it subsided, and then it happened again. So guess what? These meteor showers that we have that have been benign in nature have thick sections to them, and we're coming right into those thicker portions. They will do damage once we get to the portions we've been in before. It's kind of like the 4 seasons. We go through 4 seasons here on Earth. There are longer seasons concerning these rocks and asteroids. We're going through these tails, and it's somewhat of a consistent motion that the Earth goes through these tails. Once we go through these thick parts, all of us will know that That's an issue. They will be publishing some papers on these meteor showers, and people are going to start hearing this statement that the meteor showers that were responsible for destroying much life on this earth, we have been going through for some time now, but we're about to go back through the thick parts of these tails. We've been going through them, Pastor Paul. We're about to go through the thick parts of these tails.
You're saying that these meteor showers, we're getting ready to go through the thicker part of the tails,
yes,
which are basically leftover comets that went by a long time ago, and now we're getting ready to go through the heavy rocks. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and they're part of these, the Pulsar meteor shower and all these meteor showers. We already know what they are, right?
Yeah.
Well, what they didn't publicize or they didn't emphasize is there's a different thickness to the parts of these tails. And if we're going back through the thick parts again, is cyclical in nature. It's going to happen for some time. Even after this, it's still going to take place.
So you're saying that basically
that's going to cause damage.
That fireball over Japan was just one of many that we're going to deal with, right?
Yeah, we're going through a much denser area. So when we, we have these named meteor showers all the time. And now we're going through thick parts, a few of them. It kind of startled some of the researchers that they found the materials from these meteor showers, right? Because they know the materials. They know what they have left behind. They know the effects of whatever the composition of those rocks are. They know what they are. And they found that deep in the rock strata, right? So one of them was, they're kind of thinking that they're going to revise some of the destructive narratives that they have right now concerning Earth's history. They think that these meteor showers were involved. They can't explain it any other way. Now, it is based on their findings, but they're going to also prove that by optics, right? They're going to start looking at these things. And once we find out, I think that will cause people's hearts to fail them for fear a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's already destroyed civilizations. And we're coming around again, just like the Four Seasons. We're coming right back into this area of time, a very destructive time. Right?
Okay. Having said that, Mike, NASA has just announced that they've released a space probe called OSIRIS-APEX that they're sending straight toward Apophis, which, of course, we know Apophis is coming on Friday the 13th, April the 13th, 2029. I've often wondered, if Apophis was no concern, then why send this probe? What's your thoughts about that?
Well, the chances of Apophis have been changing and altering, and they kind of keep that under wraps.
Wait a minute, Mike.
They let the internet talk.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that we haven't been getting the whole story? I mean, I remember when Apophis was first discovered in 2004.
Right.
I've been tracking it now for 21 years. You're saying that there might be more to the story? What do you mean the facts are different? Is it closer than we think, or is it going to be closer to the Earth than we think?
It's a possibility. It may come sooner than
what
people know.
Sooner? Wait a minute. So is it going to come closer? Is it going to be sooner? Is it going to be both?
Well, that is still one of the wild.
They haven't released that information.
No, but the timing of it is definitely changed.
That's huge. This is breaking news. Mike, time out. That's breaking news. Nowhere has anyone ever said that Apophis may be coming sooner than April 13th, 2029. So are you breaking news here?
Well, I'm sure they don't want to gaslight the situation, right? But the timing is not right.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. So we'll go with the fact that you're telling us tonight that the timing's not right. What about the closeness of the Earth Is that right? Or is that
No,
different?
I don't think that's right either.
Oh, my
I don't think
Lord.
it has changed the proximity of Apophis to Earth, right? It's all been about the keyhole at first.
Yeah, I remember
So
you talking about that.
they calculated the orbit and the keyhole, but that's been revised 6 times. Six
Okay,
times
I
it's been
appreciate you being
revised.
honest with us tonight and telling us that it's been revised 6 times, because I'm going to tell you, Mike,
Yeah,
it's the first time I've heard this. I'm going to be honest with you. And I've been studying this thing for 21 years. Now, I can only go by what media releases to me. I don't have access
right.
to what you have access to. But you're saying is they've been making adjustments to this thing all along, and it's 6 times adjusted. And because I knew when I saw that today that they were releasing, NASA had sent out a new thing called a new probe called Osiris Apex. I said, "Whoa, there's something up." They would not spend billions, probably $5 billion, and I don't know if that's the right number,
Right.
but would you say it's pretty close?
Yeah, if they're being honest, I doubt that's the right number either.
Okay, I'll guess it. 1 billion. You wouldn't send a $500 million probe to check on an asteroid that you already know is going to miss
That's
us,
right.
unless you're
That's
saying.
right.
Not, I'm not saying, Mike, that it's going to miss us, that it's going to hit us, but you're saying they've made six. So it's not going to be so in other words, is it coming sooner or later than April?
Well, they made some adjustments so that it's going to be a different. Obviously, it's going to be a different time period, not too far off, maybe. But then again, I heard at one point it was 2 years off. At another point, I heard it could come 6 years before. What did they say? Not 6 or 4 years before its projected date.
Whoa, this is 2025.
But
It's
but
coming in
but
4 years. So you're
we're
saying,
also in a very different part of existence, right? Of space, and anything could be out there to
I got you.
cause that object to do some pretty weird things, right? I tell you what, it's amazing to me that
It's
an
coming
object
soon, ain't
can
it,
go
Mike?
out so far and not hit a thing and come right back.
It's
right?
coming sooner, ain't it, Mike? It's coming sooner than April 13th, 2029.
I think we're going to have, to be honest with you, I don't think anybody's going to be thinking about Apophis.
You keep bringing that up. So in other
I
words,
just don't think
you've
they
been
will.
you've been consistent. You've been absolutely consistent, saying, Paul, don't worry about Apophis. It's what's coming before Apophis. So let's
We're
talk.
going to have to deal with some, Earth, the planet Earth is going to be a big, major issue for all of us. I mean, Pastor, look at this situation right now. Every single year, we have had consistent rises in the rainfall rates, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're
These
right.
storms
You're
are
right.
devastating landscapes. We now have, it looks like continental drift. There's obvious plate movement that's taking place. We're going to have some large, this whole month in trying to project or trying to come up with some date projection of both meteorites and earthquakes and volcanoes. I had no other choice but to make a time gap. The funny thing is, I had atmospheric penetration for yesterday, and that object, everybody saw the object yesterday. It was from the 17th to the 20th.
Well,
but then a large earthquake, we have a time gap for that too.
what object did we see yesterday?
Not yesterday, but the object that came through the atmosphere, the bright one
Japan.
Yeah,
Okay.
that big bright one.
Yep.
But there's so many things, there's so many instabilities, and that episode that happened in Russia really changed parts of the earth.
That's true.
In a big way. It's going to really mess some of the timing up for quite a few things. And we know there's continental drift taking place. That means we're going to have more 8.8 earthquakes, right?
Oh my
I think
God.
I issued in August 11th, from August 11th to August 24th, a warning of 8 point plus earthquakes.
Yes.
That will be taking place. right?
Yes, you did. Yes,
From the
you
11th to the 24th.
Yes.
So, because the plates they're not going to stop. They've begun, in this weird tight motion, and things are happening. But it's almost like it's not emphasized. We're also going to see continents, right, that will change their altitude. In other words, somebody may be above sea level today, but they may not be above sea level 2 months from now, right?
Okay.
For example, there was a time when Antarctica the landmass was totally visible, right?
Yes.
There are maps. They go back a long time ago. Why did they show the landmass as it really looks underneath the ice?
That's true.
LIDAR confirms it and everything else. There's too many things happening right now. And so the geo situation in the Earth, that's something that nobody can reckon. It's going to do what it's going to do.
And I know we're going to show this map you sent me and Heidi during the webinar. I don't want to talk about that right now, but I do know that you sent it to us. It's phenomenal. It said November 2025, so I take it, Mike, you're sending us to us. Is it not going to be released till the November 2025? Is that what it is?
Yeah, a little after that. Yep.
Okay,
those are calculated times of some very real impacts.
You're giving us for this webinar a heads up a couple months early. And so, folks, if you guys get your ticket for this webinar, Mike sent me and Heidi a map that is very significant. It's for North America, and it's dated for November of 2025. So Mike's getting it to us a little early. You guys are going to be the first to see it. And it is significant. If you live anywhere in North America, if you live anywhere in Canada or the United States, you want to see the map and the significance of what it means, of course, when it relates to magma. Am I right, Mike?
Yes.
So
also, Passball, also, here's something I don't know if you know or not. You probably do.
Probably not.
But you've heard me talk about the water event, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So now, if all the billionaires began to buy up farmland in the USA.
Yes, they are.
And all of that farmland just so happened to be in the places above a specific elevation. Would you pay attention?
Yes, I would.
The farmland that is purchased, now this is odd, but the farmland that is already purchased, that is above a specific elevation, already belongs to 4 people. All right, Bill Gates. Bezos, the Facebook guy,
Zuckerberg.
and Zuckerberg, and actually there are 2 more after that.
So
the point is, these guys have bought up all the farmland that will survive the water event.
Okay, so Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and 2 other people. Is Elon Musk in that or no?
Well, he has some places in near Texas.
Okay.
Right, as it gets towards
but
the Appalachians.
So 2 other guys. I don't know, Warren Buffett. I don't know who else would.
No, not him.
No,
not him.
No,
he didn't jump on. I guess he got the memo late or something.
Peter Thiel. I don't know. Sam Altman. I mean, there's not that many guys that have that kind of cash.
No, there's not.
But anyway,
Bill Gates has the majority of it.
Bill Gates has the most. Yes. Bezos and Zuckerberg. So those 3, and then you got about 3 other guys. And you're saying they bought up a majority of the farmland.
All the farmland.
All of it.
not that's the problem. Not the majority. All of it. That will be above a certain altitude.
So they've got access to the maps.
Lines up.
They've had access to the data, access to the maps. They've had access, and they know what's coming when the rest of the public doesn't know, and they're buying this up. They don't care how much they spend for it. They'll give you 2 times the value if you have to get what they got to get. So what is their deal? Is that so they can control the food for the population?
I really do believe if we have a disaster like that, it's coming. We're going to have it. There's not going to be a government with governmental personnel. There's not going to be that. There's not going to be free elections. There's not going to be that. It'll be these corporate heads running their specific land masses. Everything will change at that point. Everything will change.
I'm working on another book right now, so I need to write this down because this is going to go into this book. Because why I'm saying that is because I'm writing a book. I can't tell you the title of it or what the premises of it is yet because I'm not allowed to. But the information you're sharing with me is going to go into the book because that's just too important because it goes along with prophecy, actually, in the book of Revelation. And so what you're saying is, Mike, that what kind of water event are we talking about here, Mike?
Global. That's global.
Global.
We're about to reach a saturation point, right? Water is heavy on the land masses. There's salt water filling up these old salt mines and evacuated wells and everything else. Magma is pressing up from the bottom. We're going to have continental issues. A warning is soon to be issued in the U.S. near South Carolina, all the way up to Jersey. No doubt some sort of warning will be issued due to potential earthquakes in that area. So we're going to deal with continental shifting, and that means certain land masses will fall and others will rise. We're already having a shift as far as the Earth is concerned. The rotation is changing. The speed of the rotation of the Earth is changing. They cannot determine the cause of some of the sporadic shifts in it's almost like a double wobble. I talked about that a long time ago, but never went back to it. It's like a double wobble in the Earth, causing some eerie consequences. For example, the front of cars have been melting due to the heat this year. Cars have been stuck on roads because their tires melted while they stopped at a stoplight. People are being badly burned, getting on their bikes, and it was 82 degrees somewhere, but any type of seats or anything that was exposed to the sun started to get real soft. The sun's light is different. Is very different, right? Very different.
Yeah, I believe that.
The trees were turning early. There were trees that were turning, 2.5 months ago. The sunflowers are pointing away from the sun in a lot of places. Now, adult sunflowers, they don't necessarily point towards the sun, but the other ones do. And it's impossible to have a field. Well, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but you shouldn't have an entire farmer's field of sunflowers pointing away from the sun. What is that? It's in the animals also. Animal behavior. When you start pulling stats on some of the scientists who track animal behavior, most of the animals have been avoiding the sun. Most of the animals avoid the sun, and all these things are odd. But then we have it. Here's how it makes sense. The rainfall that we're having is a consequence of a heated upper atmosphere, right? Yeah. With relative humidity. When you have warm air, it can hold a lot more water, right? And when you cool that air off, that water has to be discharged somewhere, right? I use an example of an AC in the sweating pipes. When you have higher temperatures and you have cold air going through those pipes, you're going to have a lot of sweating.
Okay.
The atmosphere has gone up 25% in what it can actually hold. And there were maybe around 19 cases with insurance companies where roofs have been totally obliterated by rainfall. When was the last time you heard that one?
I haven't never heard that. I've never. What? Is that globally?
So, and we're not talking about microbursts. We're not talking about rain spouts. We're talking about normal thunderstorms where water is just that intense. Some of the flood numbers coming back, 5 inches in less than 20 minutes. That's unheard of, right? That's unheard of.
Yeah.
The hail has become a problem, and not hail all over the place in a storm, but the thing about hail in just one neighborhood, that's up to 1.5 feet or something like that.
Well,
next year,
yeah,
if this trend continues next year, how in the world is a house going to be left standing? How is that going to happen? There are going to be floods everywhere. It's coming.
Well, we just
it's coming everywhere.
We got reports tonight, Mike, that Pakistan, 739 people are dead. Thousands are missing. It was an incredible rainstorm that hit in Pakistan. We're hearing that, Mike, these things are happening. They're not, it's like what you said was going to happen. Massive, rain explosions that just wipe out large segments of the world, different locations around the world. And, of course, the media's not covering this, Mike. The media's not reporting this. I'm telling you, they're not reporting this. You got to dig for it.
Yeah, no, they're not going to. Because the average person they have experienced the heavy rains. They're just not putting it together. And it's a global issue, it's a global situation. And next year, here's my biggest issue. Well, not next year, but this winter.
Okay.
The numbers, the heat, the atmosphere is still heating up. So it's going to hold a greater percentage of water than it does right now. So wherever it flooded this year, right, you just double the landmass and we'll see that flooding next year. And you do it again the year after. Because the year before this, we have flooded twice as much as we did last year. So next year, we're going to flood twice as much as we have this year.
That's crazy.
And it's going to keep going until the earth, in the Bible it says God will not destroy the earth by water again. He's not going to do that. But we're going to have certain places people will not be able to live. Period. They're just not going to be able to live. That shift, the earth is going through a shift. Inertia is going to pull the water up to a certain level all throughout the USA. So they're going to be large parts of the USA nobody can live in. Right? It's not going to happen in one day.
No.
But it will happen pretty quick, really fast. And so, but nobody's preparing for this.
No.
Nobody's preparing for it.
So, folks, this webinar we got coming up called Warning Planet Earth. Mike's giving you a little hints right now tonight. I'm telling you, some of the information he shares in this webinar is incredible. It's next Friday. It's August 29th. You don't want to miss this. It's not just the events he's telling you about in weather, whether it be from space or the earth and the atmospheric compression and all the different things that happen. But Mike goes into an incredible information about the AI, about what AI means. And I'm not going to ask him to do that tonight, but I tell you, when you did that webinar, Mike, and you started explaining to me what AI's capabilities were and where it was going, it left. I couldn't sleep for 2 nights. This is coming fast, isn't it? Is the world? We're not prepared for it. We don't even know what this means, do we?
Right. Exactly. I think a lot of people have. They speculate about things, but they don't quite comprehend the changes that have been taking place already.
Mike, there's been several planes falling out, or not falling completely out of the sky. Small planes are crashing. But there was a Delta flight just recently in Orlando. It was on its way from Orlando to Austin, which part of the wing flap just broke off, I guess. I don't know what happened. We're finding out this is happening more and more. There was a flight that just recently fell 27,000 feet, and they stopped at the last second. I can't remember where that was at. That was earlier this week. So are we going to continue to see this, and what's causing this with their aircraft?
That's happening with a lot of things that go up in the air. For those folks who do missile guidance, the INS and RLG and FOG systems in there, they have been working overtime due to stress faults in some of the missiles. Something is causing a premature decay of these materials, right? So I believe it's the sun. I do. I believe it's the sun, the differentials in the heat, the type of light. Yeah, because if you expose metals to certain types of light, the sun can be quite dangerous. You're looking at something that puts off a huge spectrum of light waves, visible and non-visible, that can be quite destructive on metals. And then you mix that with poor maintenance, right? And then you mix that with a lot of retribution from immigrants, and then you have a problem, right? They made a mistake. I think a lot of companies made a mistake. Pascal, is no secret that they wanted cheap labor. That's why Americans couldn't find jobs, because they would give it to many of the illegals that would come over. They would hire them instead of other people. And as you know, they're looking for retribution. These people have declared war on America. They actually have.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
It's it's one of those things. And you have, I spoke to a group of young kids. These kids are inconsolable. They're inconsolable. That has me deeply concerned, right? Not about the adults, the children. Because the children are going to grow up with a hatred against America so deep that nobody's going to be able to turn it. I mean, it looks exactly like that biblical situation that we often read, how that people on the earth are full of hatred, how they are murdering each other, right? And it's just developing that way. We live on the precipice of some real problems on every side, which is why we have to guard from the southern border to the northern border to the eastern and western borders.
Well, let me ask you.
We have to really. Yes.
Let me ask you, because Tulsi Gabbard fired half of the employees of the United States that work in national intelligence. Half. How in the world? I mean, what in the world did she discover that would cause you to fire half of the national intelligence?
Interviews.
But what? Okay, is it what, because what they believe? What is it? What is it?
Absolutely, you can't have people in intelligence who would. First of all, when you're in a governmental position like that, nobody's in there to practice democracy. They're there to preserve it. And they have certain functions in those jobs. So they can't compromise, or the entire republic starts to suffer because of people like that, doing favors for this person and doing favors for that person. Favors. You can't do that. That compromises national security. And right now we're at high risk. Very, very, very high risk. So she did it. She was bold enough to do it. But there's a recourse to that, because you can only do that if you have an enclosed system of loyalists.
Right.
That's been a problem for some time. You never knew who would stab you in the back, right? And it gets very tricky in the intelligence community, period. But that's a very bold move.
So, Mike,
unfortunately,
let me ask you, is there two Americas now? I mean, it used to be that we were the United States of America, a republic, and you have two political systems within that republic, the Democrats and Republicans. Have we passed that now? Are we just down to the Americans and the communists? Is that where we're at now?
Well, by appearances, it looks one way, but what it actually is a divide, is a clear divide in ideologies. There are lots of people who will not follow a republic.
Okay.
They just won't do it. It's because, you know what, education is a problem. It's a big problem. A lot of people are not educated into they don't know what a republic is.
I get it.
They don't know.
They don't even know
what democracy is.
They don't know.
Yeah, they don't know what democracy is. They don't know. They really don't know.
No, they don't.
They know from YouTube, but that's not real education.
They're not being taught it in school, in civics.
Because their parents don't know. You remember when they said you can't correct your children anymore? That thus began the breakdown, right?
Yeah.
And kids were able to turn their parents in. When that happened, discipline was lost. And now kids demand, and that's a problem. You have a whole generation out there who are raised and they truly believe that they're owed what they've been receiving. So it is a type of entitlement built in due to a lack of education. But I think that's our responsibility, though. We have the ability to educate any and everybody we come in contact with. But a lot of people, they don't talk to their neighbors. And then their neighbors are hostile if you do try and talk to them because you didn't use the proper pronouns or something of that nature. So, I'd say we have 5 Americas is what it looks like. But one interesting thing is this. The governors have finally began their process of division, of a final division.
We're seeing
here in this nation.
Now.
It is happening.
We're seeing it in California. We're seeing it with Texas, Illinois, New York, Florida. And I'm sure before it's over, all 50 states, you're going to have to draw a line. Are you blue? Are you red? People are going to move to the states that are more based on how they feel. We're dividing this country. Where do you see us going in the next 10 years, Mike? Do we last 10 more years?
Well, we'll have, let's see, on the conservative side, you'll have 2 camps. On the Democratic side, you'll have 3 camps. It'll be 5 different places in America.
Tell me, that's interesting. So we'll have, tell us what those are. 2 camps among the Republicans, 3 against the Democrats.
You have your traditional Republicans, right?
Okay.
Who still have ideologies based in the middle aisle. You have another base of the Republicans who believe in loyalty and root values. I'm going to call them root values, which means they consider the founding ways, right? But you have new conservatives out there who they have, in a traditional sense, they do things based upon these modern day policies.
Well, right? Okay. So who are the first Republicans that you call?
Well, no,
are they MAGA? Is MAGA?
You have MAGA. You have the Mitch McConnells.
Are they the first one, MAGA, or the second one, MAGA?
No. I say no, not the MAGA base that exists right now. Right, is very different from the first MAGA base.
Okay, I got it.
It's very different, but that base is growing by leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
traditional conservatives
is slowly
they're kind of being separated.
They're being
they're not going anywhere.
They're not going, but they're smaller. Would you say that's
right?
MAGA's bigger than the Rhino.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay,
because MAGA is the people, right?
Yeah,
that's what that is. Traditional conservatism. They forgot about the people.
Yeah, that's the ruling class, the Republican ruling. Okay, so now let's go to the Democrats. Who do you got here? You got 3 groups?
Oh boy, yeah, you got 3 groups.
Talk to me about.
You've got your main Democratic group, who is let's call them the biggest group, which is your citizens, lots of citizens, people who have generalistic ideas about democracy, but still inclusive with everything else with democratic ideologies.
Are they the old school? Are they the old RF?
Yeah, you call them that. You could call them I would call them the Clinton Democrats.
Okay, we'll call them the Clinton.
Right.
Okay.
I think anybody before Clinton, they're not just,
they're pretty well
don't
gone,
exist.
Aren't they?
Yeah, they don't exist.
All right.
But then you have the new Democrats.
Okay, who are they?
Right. The ones that they have no idea what Democrat means.
Okay.
Though
I'm
you have
sorry.
that new group, the rebellious group, I'll say. The
Okay,
rebellious group.
rebellious, good word.
They're quite rebellious.
Okay.
And then you have somewhat of a reserved group of Democrats that make no noise, right? They still vote Democrat, but they don't make noise,
Well,
right?
where's the
They assess
communists?
things. They're very quiet and they assess things, right? Well, Democrats, by and large, they may not know it, but they are exercising communistic ideologies mixed in with the Democratic Party.
Well, which ones are which one would you say? Is there a socialist group within the Democrat Party?
That is part of the Democratic Party. Because socialism is common when things are commonly owned, right? That's when nobody really makes money themselves, but everything is in a communistic fashion belongs to the state, right?
Well, are they the Democrats who believe that everything that we should take from the rich to divide among the poor? But they don't really care about the poor per se. They say they do, but they actually take from the rich to divide among themselves, the ruling class. I mean, isn't that the socialist, communist Democrats, like the Mandami bunch, the AOC?
Yeah, I think I think the people they don't know what a socialist is, right?
Right.
If you look at a socialist and that ideology mixed with a bit of communism, then you would see the modern day democratic machine. And the problem with it, they don't know what taking from the rich and giving to anybody else. They don't know what that is.
You know, it's not even right to say taking from the rich. It's taking from the working man.
They don't know.
And giving to the non-workers. Am I right about what I'm saying here? They don't know. Poor, not taking from the rich to give to the poor. It's taking from the workers to give to the illegals and non-workers. Would that be?
They don't know. Here's why I say they don't know.
Okay.
I take out a lot of time because I'm concerned about these young kids to teach them things about. Say, for example, you have human services. Say somebody who's receiving food stamps, right? But they were raised up in a home that received food stamps.
Okay.
They're going to grow up, and food stamps is going to be normal to them. And they're going to say, when I grow up, I'm going to just go ahead and get on food stamps, and that's going to be inclusive in my life plan and go forward.
I got you.
Right?
Yep.
Because they grew up in those communities like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids have to be educated to understand that's not a permanent solution, nor is it a guaranteed income. That's not what that is, because now you have young kids who are 20, 23, and they have a complaint. They're saying, hey, I'm working a job, and I was getting $2,000 in food stamps, and now I don't get any, and they want me to do community service. What am I supposed to do? Work a job and do community service? Yeah, see, that statement means they truly believe in their hearts that they're supposed to get the food stamps. That's what it means. That's a lack of education. So when you start talking to these young kids and they begin to get it, then you set them free. The Democrats hurt the Democrats when they don't educate the young children to emphasize the state is helping you out or helping certain demographics out to get you on your feet. But when you get on your feet, sow back into the nation. Right?
Yeah.
That's not being emphasized.
That's not being taught.
To sow back into the nation.
That's not being taught, Mike.
That they need to see appreciation for the nation would be a good thing, but that takes people who are willing to educate the masses on things like that, right?
So how do you feel about this guy who's running for governor? I mean, for mayor of New York.
That shouldn't be allowed in America.
That's a communist.
In America,
he's a communist.
In America, that should not ever be allowed. I mean, not ever. Not ever. Anybody who has socialistic or communistic tendencies, they should never be allowed to run.
Mike, he's going to win the election. Mike, I'm with you.
That's what happened before Constantine.
I'm with you. He should never be allowed. But guess what? He's going to be the mayor of New York City. And I predict the next governor of California will be exactly the same as Mandami is of the New York City mayor. Then
you see what's happening.
the next mayor of Chicago will be the same as Mandami, if not the governor of Illinois. I don't see this thing slowing down. I mean,
do you see what's happening?
Yeah, I do. I see a divided country of the haves and have-nots, and I don't know how the workers and the non-workers. I don't see how where this is going to go. It can't sustain itself, can it, Mike?
Well, the Bible says it will not.
It won't.
It clearly won't. It will not. Whoa. And again, something happened to America to stop us from interceding for Israel.
Oh, now
we do not. Okay. We don't help Israel out.
There you go.
Nobody can occupy Israel for 3.5 years if the USA is standing. So then our whole system changed.
Wow, that was a great
point. We're living in that time where it's starting to change. We're starting to see how it changes.
You just pivoted that America's demise is because of its rejection of Israel at some point, which will create our demise, and that must be going to happen, or Israel doesn't come under 42 months of where it comes.
They're trampling underfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So we know it's going to take place, and it's
Wow, that was a great point. You made a great pivot there, and I think you're onto something, because obviously something happens that America rejects Israel. When it rejects Israel, it damns itself, apparently. And it should be shocked by that. I don't know how far out that happens, but you can see it coming, don't you? I mean, you can see it coming.
If we had an 8.8 like Russia had, that would be enough. That would be enough to send us into enough chaos. We wouldn't have the mind to help out anybody else.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Because an 8.8 could happen at the Cascadia subduction zone.
Yep.
It could happen in San Andrea fault line. It could even happen in the New Madrid fault line. It could even happen up there in the northeast. New Jersey, right. New Jersey, New York. Yep. So America is on a ticking time bomb. Would you say that the next mega earthquake is based on our social demise?
I do believe that our morality in this nation is going to be tied to its doom. It's the thing. It's they go hand in hand.
Yep.
Because we have all the worst weather of the world besides Pakistan.
You're right.
Right.
You're right.
And the worse we get, the worse events get in this nation. Now this year, this is somewhat different. This year, the churches have been given a reprieve, and the first hurricane does nothing, and that's something that's amazing to me.
I'm with you, because I've said
that's amazing to me.
I'm sitting there. Well, Heidi and I, of course, are celebrating our 43rd wedding anniversary, and we're sitting here out on the ocean, actually, and we've been watching the waves for 4 days coming in from the Atlantic. There's been no rain, no storms, no dark clouds, just the waves. Right. And the waves have been powerful, Mike. I'm telling you, powerful rip currents. As this storm goes away and it heads up north, we've been given a major reprieve. What Hurricane Aaron could have done, massive devastation. Now, there's 2 more storms forming out there. I don't know what the year is going to bring. But you're saying the churches are the reason we're getting a reprieve right now.
I believe that. Because when, it's they've been empowered, they've been given a moment in time almost to regroup. It was getting quite chaotic in churches. You had people in churches representing the church that were not representing Christ at all. Many people were giving sermons. They didn't even say the name of Jesus in the sermon, right? Then when you have...
You're right.
So now it's a bit different, and almost immediately there's a difference in the weather. But we know things are being held back. Yeah. I strongly believe that. If God were to lift his hand of grace at any moment from any place, it would be utterly destroyed. I mean, in an instant. And so I think because the churches are allowed to function and operate, and they're trying to get it together, regardless if somebody likes Trump or not.
Right.
there was a call of prayer within a lot of churches during this moment. There was a call to prayer, and things started happening. And then that hurricane did absolutely nothing.
I have two more questions for you, Mike, because I know it's getting late, but we got to get to it. Number one, the USS Cole and the USS Iwo Jima were sent to the Gulf of America because of, I guess, the Mexican cartels. What do you think about that? Are we about ready to go to war with these cartels?
Well, you remember my conversation at the beginning of the year. These cartels are not playing, and they have access to jets. They have access to things. They have access to F-16s.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So they have access to military equipment and militaries. They have access to militaries. Specifically, China's military. China's military.
Wow.
See, here's what some of these cartel members, right, have been trained by the Chinese. So that means they have all the intel on the USA. They have special tactical training, invasion training. They have been in this nation. They could have been gathering intel. They had been gathering intel for some time. When the truth came out, it was shocking to everybody. They already knew what the situation was. They knew that from some things that were happening across the border. They just did not know the scale. So Pastor, essentially, to fight the cartel is to fight an army. So, of course, he's going to have to take precautions, great precautions. But the greatest of precautions is going to have to be within this country. So I'll say this. Every time I came on Thursday, I would tell you about what I saw, people crawling underneath our feet in the dirt with bombs strapped to them, right?
Yes.
So don't be surprised if people take a militant approach to not to lock down the cities, no, but to be in place before they strike, because they're going to strike. That's a known fact. They're going to strike. But you can't make it look like they're going to strike, right?
I got you.
You can't put that in the public's psyche. So you have to do it under the guise of something else.
All right, one more question, Mike. I don't want to hold you too long, but there's another major issue, and that is Venezuela. We have launched the USS Fort Lauderdale and the USS, I forgot the name of the second one, two major battleships or warships off the coast of Venezuela. And it's because major concerns of what President Nicolas Maduro is doing to that nation. He is basically taking it. It started with Hugo Chavez, but it's gotten way worse. It's an absolute hostile takeover of a nation. Just communism ripping people's homes and businesses and property away from them. Why would we send two major warships off their coast? Are we planning on going in on Maduro?
Well, you don't think it has anything to do with the two proposed Russian submarine bases in that area, do you?
Well, I think that could be part of it, certainly, and maybe that has everything to do with it. You're right.
Maybe that missile defense line that's just recently showed up there, that could have something to do with it.
Could have something very much.
Could have something to do with it. So it's something to watch.
So it's maybe more than just. It's not about necessarily rescuing the Venezuelans from communism, but protecting the United States from the communist invasion of our hemisphere. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot going on.
So now you've made Putin way more dangerous to us than just Ukraine and blowing up one of our largest factories in Ukraine. You're talking about Putin saying, you come into my hemisphere, I'm coming to your hemisphere. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Putin plays a very tactical chess game. He's always been a move ahead, but I think
Trump's onto it,
you
though,
know,
isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's not naive. President
No,
Trump
he's
is not
not.
naive. He's a very surprising individual. He's not naive.
And he's got some good people working for him, and I think
Yes,
yeah. I
and that
appreciate you being a part of our intelligence as well, Mike, to be honest with you.
I hope that people are praying, Pastor Paul, for President Trump, because yes, he has good people around him, but there's still serpents in the grass.
I agree with that. Well, we'll be
There's
praying.
serpents in the grass.
Mike, next week, of course, this webinar is going to launch, Warning Planet Earth. It's going to be a good one. I know your presentation was just incredible. I even had to go back and listen to it a second time. And I know when the people listen to it, they're going to be highly impressed and also hopefully awakened to the reality of the time we're in. So I want to thank
Absolutely.
you. I want to thank you for tonight, Mike. Thank you so much for coming on, being with us tonight. It's very important. It really is. I want to thank you.
My honor, Pastor Paul.
The honor's mine. Thank you, Mike. God bless.
All right.